for junglers, it replaces the old Broken Myth very well. The only thing is they have to pick up a Broken Myth later on in the game to have that piercing so that they can shred with their damage through the defense. Reza didn't do it last game, and that could have been a factor. Going into this draft, though, Lyra banned already taken away from Tribe after they played it twice in a row.
Yeah, and it's going to then be that Petal first picked once again. All 3 games, Petal is coming through for these 2 squads. They are still really, really big on this weapon Petal pick. And why not? It has won both games thus far in this series. So still a very strong pick. A 60% win rate going to be going up just a little bit further. But
finally,
there's the Saw coming through without getting banned and the Rhyme taken off the board. But this is something we're going to have to watch, is this Saw pickup. This is a hero we haven't seen in a very, very long time. Was one of the only heroes not picked for such a long time in the previous season. Finally makes his appearance.
Before I talk about the Saw, I want to touch on the Petal. The strategy from C9 usually is to first pick the Vox for old school. That's his comfort pick and one of the strongest picks also. They're changing it up for the Petal. Even though he's not as confident on it, it works better. Why? Because these games are going fairly long, and Petal outscales Vox. She scales better because she has more damage once she overdrives her trampoline. So an adaptation in the draft for C9, especially after it worked for them in the second game. The Saw pick coming out for Tribe. In my opinion, this can go either weapon power or CP. Most likely we'll see it weapon power, especially if combined with a strong early game jungler such as the CP Kestrel that can also siege a lot. But Tribe and T-Tigers, they haven't played Kestrel in a long time.
Well, you asked if we were going to continue to see Reza. We are not going to see Reza this game as Cloud9 take him off the board, forcing T-Tigers onto something else. He played the Reza twice in a row, so obviously it's a pick he's extremely comfortable on, and Cloud9 do not want to let him get his hands on that once again. So Arden is the pickup here. Again, I feel like Arden is one of, if not the strongest captains on this update, just because of his massive amount of durability. 30% bonus health ratio on the Vanguard. You just build a ton of health items, and you're able to not only be incredibly durable yourself, but also protect your teammates incredibly well. And we've seen throughout all of Vainglory's history how important a well-placed gauntlet is to turning the tides of a fight.
Now, I want to talk a little bit more about this Saw, because you guys, clearly everyone's very excited about this pick, right?
Oh, just kidding. We're going to turn and focus on Churnwalker.
All right, we have the Churnwalker pick. Cloud9's going to play it. I've been harassing Physics all day trying to persuade her to get a team to pick it up. It is going to come on through right here for Cloud9. Talk to me about this pick, guys. How is this going to work out?
It's very strong against Saw specifically just because he's immobile and he can land your hook and chains fairly easily if he's not using his shank to move around. The Vox end up coming also for C9 to put the Petal into the CP jungle. But talking more about Churnwalker, he's a very strong early game hero. He can clear fast, can invade. His team fighting very strong. A lot of CC and a lot of damage amplification. So Vox and Petal are focusing Saw, let's say, and then at the same time he has Arden and the other hero chained, the Churnwalker. That's the damage going through on all heroes.
There's also the fact of, what did we talk about was a situation required for Churnwalker to come through. Not having very strong backline dive. You know who's really bad at diving a backline? Saw. This is a great situation for them to pick up this Churnwalker, being able to keep Saw at bay. If Churnwalker gets behind the Saw needs to be close enough to basic attack. If Churnwalker pulls him away from his teammates, Saw is so slow, he's not going to be able to get back into range. So this pick could actually be absolutely monumental here. And what a game. Yeah. Game 3, we have a Saw and a Churnwalker. This is amazing.
I want to ask you guys quickly, before we get in the game, I want some predictions for this one, because this is going to be a crazy game. Are we going for the Churnwalker? Are we going for the Saw? Where do we lie here?
I want to go for the Churnwalker just because he's on Gay Vizzle. At the same time, though, Son is going to be able to apply a lot of pressure. And if C9 don't hold off early game, they can fall really far behind.
I think this is going to go to the Churnwalker here. I think it's just with Saw and Kashka, I don't think they have the ability to eliminate these targets before the chains get put on everyone. I think it's going to be a really impressive showing.
All right, well, we've got a Cloud9 desk right here. I'm torn between the Churnwalker and the Sword. I've been waiting for the Churnwalker all day, though, so I'm excited to get on into this one. Let us know who you are supporting on Twitter. Use that hashtag Vainglory8. Tell your brothers and sisters, tell your friends, tell your mum if you have to. Get everybody involved, because we have our first competitive Churnwalker heading onto the fold. I cannot wait to see how Cloud9 are going to be able to pull this one out of the bag. It's about time to jump on into game number 3 of this series. It's time once again to pass it over to Dowsy and the Source and kick off game number 3 of split number 2.
Hey, Mum! Look, I'm casting North America! It's Dowsy! It's the Source! It's game 3! It's cringe all around, and it's time to see who can take this one home. It's been an exciting match, but look at that! Mr. Churnwalker has joined us on the Halcyon Fold, Source. I think this is what everyone has been waiting for.
Ask Gabe Vizzle to play it in game 1 and you shall be rewarded. I'm super excited for Churnwalker. I think he has massive high play potential. I think that there are great opportunities to just see him make massive plays, and we're already getting to see what he can do with the jungle. I already think his jungle clearing is a little terrifying. I think it cranks up the speed of... It's fast. It's so fast. And now he's going to go sit in the lane and be a nuisance? Wait, Gabe Vizzle. No, help the team, Gabe Vizzle, please.
It does mean that Joseph is getting the experience and the gold from the Ambient, which will get the Petal up to level 2. This is Petal versus Sora as well. There's so many things to talk about here. And Churnwalker. So, let's talk about Churnwalker to begin with. Heroic Perk, Futility of Life. Through those hook and chains, he can cause his enemies to share damage when one of them gets attacked and they're both chained up. It also heals him for the damage dealt by his opponents and does damage over time. So, very strong passive right there. And Gabe Vizzle then can use his B Torment to pull someone back, essentially. And then his ultimate, Trespass, will stun anyone who is hooked on up, and also remove the hook and chain from his opponent, so you'll have to stack them back up. So it's very interesting to see how this works. From what I've been told by physics, it's very good into dive compositions, apparently. And so it allows you to hook everyone up nice and quickly, stun them up, and then, you know, pull them around. But we do see an invade coming out of T-Tiger. Should talk about it. Joseph is struggling a little bit. T-Tiger's quite possibly the best Koshka ever. Maybe Vonsi would argue that he is the best Koshka, but T-Tiger is definitely very good. And right now, Joseph is too scared to even contest his jungle. T-Tiger is looking to just try and steal away this Treant away, secures it, and he just pounces out. Nothing feared. In fact, he's going to go back in. Oh dear. Joseph, are you okay there? You don't look very okay, my friend. Celsia tries to find the kill with the Blood for Blood, but Joseph just about survives.
So there's definitely a massive amount of pressure all around the map for the side of Tribe. You've got pressure from the jungle coming out from T-Tigers, but we haven't talked about Zeo on this Saw. Saw is incredibly good at pushing, especially with how weak towers happen to get in 2.8, and I mean, we were talking about how strong Saw was in the draft and how we're excited to see him. It's going to be basically a full court press coming out from the side of Tribe. Pressure Cloud9 early before the Churnwalker really gets online once he gets tanky enough to survive these team fights. We saw Gabe Vizzle taking a lot of damage in that early portion of the laning phase where he was only level 1. Positioning is going to be very important for him, but once we get into those mid-game team fights in the jungle, I hope to see Gabe Vizzle really, you know, let Churnwalker shine.
We'll have to find out exactly how he does so. Guess the one thing that Gabe Vizzle can do is put Dienzio in a compromising position with that hook and chain and the Torment. Of course, that combination pulls him in. Here comes the engage, but T-Tigers is here as well. Hooks have been put onto 2. You can kind of see the damage being dealt back and forth via that blow. Churnwalker, a very fun hero to watch, and Dienzio constantly being pulled into Old School. But at this moment, I think Old School has the damage to deal. Look at that! Soul's just ripping through him! Suppressing fire does miss. Gets pulled under turret! Gabe Vizzle pulls him under turret, and Old School will find the first blood. Oh, that was a mistake from Dienzio.
Yeah, it looked good for Dienzio for a little while. The idea of stepping forward anytime you get hooked to just continue to dish out your damage, not let them control where you are positioned. I liked that idea. I liked that he was willing to play aggressive, step up into Old School, and kind of fire the damage back even though Gabe Vizzle had already landed the chain. We saw a little bit of what happens when 3 chains landed. Gabe Vizzle was surviving, but I Love Joseph was forced to back, and I think that made Zeo a little overconfident in stepping up and getting pulled under the turret. And it's not a massive pull. This isn't like a forced accord, but it does just change positioning enough to start to become a nuisance, especially to somebody like a Saw.
I'm getting excited at the moment. I hope everyone else is as well. Tribe, they have fallen to the first blood of Cloud9, but they haven't fallen too far behind. In fact, they maintain a gold lead at this point, and it's all down to T-Tigers' ability to continuously pressure the jungle. Now has an Aftershock ready to go. Going to be a lot of burst potential ready to be outputted onto a singular target. Minion Candy being played out by Gabe Vizzle, missing his hook and chain. That's a huge cooldown. You miss it. When you hit it, you get it very short. When you miss it, it's devastating. Look at that old school under turret just losing his life as we speak. The fountain was popped very quickly by Gabe Vizzle to make sure that his captain can try and survive. Tribe with a very dangerous siege via this Saw, via this Koshka. There's so much damage that can be outputted very quickly. Being that Cloud9 are respecting it. It's once more T-Tigers dives on in, but Joseph, look at the spontaneous combustions. Almost finding kills, but not quite. Mad Cannon being popped. Tigers jumps in and will find the kill onto Old School. Cloud9 currently not successfully able to dissuade Tribe from this siege. They are continuously looking to push on in onto this turret, and with a Saw, this turret goes down very quickly. Joseph tries to heal himself up with a spontaneous combustion, force Tigers back, but that's the turret gone. Just like that, Cloud9 lose their first.
And I want to highlight how masterfully played that was from Tribe. T-Tigers held the Yummy Catnip Frenzy that entire time. There was always that threat. And every time he'd dive under towers, something was used to try and get Old School out of trouble. Once was the fountain. He also used his reflex block. They kind of pulled resources very slowly out of Cloud9 while DNZO was just continuously poking and poking and poking. And that was an interesting timing point for them to do that on, because that was when T-Tigers had the ultimate ready and the other members of Cloud9 didn't have level 6. That wasn't online. Game Vizzle still doesn't have level 6. The level 6 from Petal isn't gonna be that massive in terms of a team fight unless it's extended. Old School didn't have the weight for it, so it was just this great pressure moment from Tribe to be able to force Cloud9 to sit there and deal with them, but not allow Cloud9 to be able to counter engage.
Right now, Tribe hard pushing the lane. Gabe Vizzle's looking to try and set up his hook and chains onto the entirety of the team, share the damage. Dienzio taking a lot of damage. He might get bursted. Fountain comes out. Trespass stuns up T-Tigers, but Dienzio on the back line, he's just doing it all. Old School find the kill. T-Tigers will find the returner. It's a double kill all around, a double-double almost. It is now just supportal combat. Celsius and Gabe Vizzle beating each other up. This fight may go on for a little bit.
Gabe Vizzle does
looks
not
like
win
Gabe
this.
Vizzle might actually be losing it. That's a surprising aspect.
Yeah, Churnwalker, he actually can't 1v1 at all. You will lose pretty much every 1v1, especially something like an Arden. Because you actually... So it's interesting. Churnwalker doesn't actually do damage. You see him trying to do damage. Like, he
has no CP ratios, no weapon power ratios.
But he's got CP ratios at 1%. So,
oh, that's true?
Yeah, they're there. They're there. They're actually there. But it means that you are only as strong as your team. So for a team like Cloud9, great teamwork, great coordination. This is, could be a great optimal pick for them. But there are a couple of minor things you have to think about. One, when he's in that fight with Celsius, he's not actually going to be able to dish out that much damage. If he's running away, if minions are hitting Celsius, then yes, Churnwalker is going to be able to sustain that back up. If you get later in the game and he's doing damage to, say, a squishy carry, and that carry is already very low, maybe he can hunt them down and maybe finish them off. But he's not going to win a 1v1 duel for a long period of time. He also doesn't do any damage to Kraken. Either on offense or defense, you can't actually hook the Kraken. So you can't hook Kraken, you can't pull Kraken, you can't stun Kraken. Your entire kit is literally useless up against that objective. So you are, again, only as strong as the collective of your team. We saw a little bit of that damage in that fight of what happens when those triple chains were there, when everybody was linked up. If I Love Joseph had survived a little bit longer or was a little bit further ahead in that build, I think we see DNCO get bursted down faster. Old School wasn't actually hitting him, so wasn't getting off that mortal wound. So there were a couple things not going perfect for Cloud9, but we're starting to see the potential of this Churnwalker.
Ooh, wow, look at the damage coming out. Torment goes out. Dienzio gets deleted. The trespass stunning him up, and now Gabe Vizzle's just walking his Arden. Gonna switch it on over to T-Tigers as Zelsia will fall down. It is going to be Cloud9 finding themselves a first team fight win here. That damage being outputted via the hook and change, the fertility of life heroic perk is just massive.
Yeah, and that's actually starting to get really terrifying because you've actually got pretty high amounts of initial damage coming out from Cloud9. You've got good sustained damage coming out from Cloud9. If every single target is chained and you're dumping that damage into Dienzio, yes, he is, the Saw. He doesn't have that lifesteal, so he can't really sit there and sustain. So you're gonna be able to bring him down eventually, but that damage is transferring. And normally Saws, they want to stand and fight. They're comfortable sitting there and dealing with you. But once chains start to land from Gabe Vizzle, you have to start thinking about the fact that this is one of the few heroes, if I think the only hero in the game, that once a very short cooldown ability, now that it's overdriven, it has that increased range. That cooldown is about 3 seconds, 0 if he lands it. Once a low cooldown skill lands, you actually have to be very careful about how willing you are to take engagements. The longer you stay, the more dangerous it gets.
Certainly, you can see that Tribe are falling backwards. That's going to be a stun onto the Arden. T-Tigers falling down. Dienzio trying to output the damage onto Old School. He is going to find the kill. Joseph jumps away, but he will fall down as well. And it's only Gabe Vizzle left alive. The poor Churnwalker just roaming the map. Knows that his time is done. The ace will come through for Tribe as they are now have the opportunity to push down and get their 2-2 turret.
And T-Tigers manages to exploit, what is the falling off of Churnwalker. You get far enough away from him, and he will no longer have those chains. That damage won't finish through. I think the side of Cloud9 thought that they were about to finish T-Tigers due to that extra chain damage. The damage was coming through onto other targets. They had him chained up, but he managed to break it at pretty much the last second and then get hit with a fountain. They then re-engage the fight and start to come ahead. So, we're starting to see where maybe Gabe Vizzle has to think a little bit more about his positioning. He was sticking to the team, but he actually hadn't landed the additional hook onto Dienzio. Had he done that, possibly damage comes through, falls along that chain, and finishes off T-Tigers. So one hook could become, one hook could save the entire team. One hook could be the difference between a one-team fight and a lost team fight.
Echo for Gabe Vizzle. Wow, that's an exciting possibility. I assume you Echo Trespass, the ultimate for Churnwalker, and then re-hook everyone up and get that second stun up. It does break up the hook and chains. You can't just stun and then stun immediately again. Perhaps you can go for a double pullback with the Torment. Gonna be very we have to keep our eyes basically on Gabe Vizzle and see how he does use that Echo.
I think it works. Chains projectile speed is high. Once you use the trespass and it breaks all of the chains, it's actually very quick to be able to get them back up, especially if you've pulled them in and grouped them, because then you just fire the chain 3 times in the same direction. You're likely to hit 2 of your 3 targets, and again, that's pretty fast projectile speed with 0 cooldown. That's how fast you can tap your screen to be able to make that happen.
Well, here we go. Fight does break out. Gabe Vizzle blocks up the Yummy Captain Frenzy. Whoa, that's a stun and a half. There's the second coming on through. They do lose Joseph, but it just doesn't matter. Gabe Vizzle looking so flashy with this Churnwalker right now. T-Tigers wants to steal away this gold miner. Hook does miss, but the flare will reveal the kitty cat. It will push him back as well. Gold miner should be secured here by Cloud9. They're going to get that gold
Immense
up to
gold
even
payout
thereabouts
collected.
now. 29.4 versus 30,000. It's very close indeed. Joseph finishing a Broken Myth. Very important item. Meraki Zoro mentioned how important it was, but on 2.9 it's just so good. Maybe in the past you didn't build Broken Myth for the piercing source, you bought it for the percentage of crease on damage items, but here on 2.9 it is all about the piercing. 30% pierce is huge.
Yeah, that's a lot of initial damage, and that is going to be transferring across the chains for Churnwalker. And in that fight, we saw very quick 3 chains, instant stun, very quick 2 chains. It happens very, very fast, and he's already gotten 2.
Ooh,
Misses the third.
got 2. There it is. Stun comes out, loses a bit of his HP, has to Fountain to survive. Chain's going back out, Fountain comes out, T-Tiger's going on in, stun blocked up by Zelsia, but everyone's so low, T-Tigers is dead, Dienzio's all about dead. It is a 1-for-1 trade, but currently Cloud9 progressing forward, perhaps deciding that it's too risky into the Saw and will back off. These fights have been so explosive.
Yeah, because there's just so much more damage flying through from the side of Cloud9. You'd think this is a Vox, this is a Petal. Yes, there's good damage over time. Yes, there's the initial damage that comes out of I Love Joseph, but you don't really think about that in terms of something like T-Tigers, Koshka, and that just instant burst. Those chains are really setting that up. And I said right before that fight started, third chain missed, that could have turned the fight. If that actually had happened, that stun lands on Dienzio, or at least forces out the reflex block, and just the damage would have been transferring through. So, you know, very quickly, Tribe is adapting to how they need to play up against this Churnwalker a bit. They realized once that third chain missed, they could actually take that fight on, you know, reasonably even ground. Maybe some lifesteal from Dienzio might actually turn some of these fights in them, because Dienzio is fighting at such low health. You know, waiting for Zelsier to actually use that Fountain at like these last possible moments. He's playing things on a knife's edge, so he's gone with this full crit build. I hope it ends up working out for him because of how, you know, how fast we can see a Saw just rip through the members of Cloud9.
Yeah, it's very true. No Serpent's Mask means no sustain. Right now it's okay. Gabe Bizzle trying to set up the fight. There's the stun going out on to Old School. He's in trouble. That's Joseph just deleted. And oh dear, Old School's going to go down as well. Tribe set up the perfect setup for a fight. Cloud9 go for a risky attempt at, you know, stealing away the Kraken. It just didn't work at all. We're going to need a replay to see exactly how Tribe was able to turn that around. Was it misplay? Was it just great outplay? Either way, it's a Kraken for Tribe.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that actually came off of Gabe Bizzle's flank. Saw where Dienzio was positioned. He had full space to poke Gabe Bizzle the moment he saw him. You know, he laid a couple of shots into him. He was already spun up from hitting the Kraken. There was damage to be dealt. And then we see the members of Cloud9 kind of try and dive in, try and set that play up. The chains didn't actually connect for Gabe Bizzle. I think Cloud9, just the way this composition works, group up, move forward. Because we've seen what happens every time Tribe tries to hard engage on you when you're grouped. Gabe Bizzle lands the hooks, Old School gets the silence, that gives Gabe Bizzle more time to land more hooks, and you transfer the damage across that passive. If you come in for this flank, you better land pretty much every single play, and I don't think it's worth taking the risk when we've seen how much damage they're able to actually output.
Now I have a broken myth for T-Tigers. It's a pretty important setup. Triple chain is there. Gabe Bizzle, does he want to go in? Stun comes out. The silence, in fact, sorry. Now it is going to be Torment stunning up to Gabe Bizzle to put those hooks back on out, looking for effect and stun. It's going to find one, but they've lost their carry, and Joseph will fall down as well. It's only Gabe Bizzle left alive. Churnwalker, no, he's going to go down. And Ace comes through for Tribe. The Kraken taking the Vein Crystal turrets, and Tribe will take the victory here over Cloud9 2-1.
Maybe it was too certain for the Churnwalker. Maybe we asked for it and it wasn't ready. It was still being, you know, completely figured out by the side of Cloud9. But I love the attempt, and we get to see Tribe moving on in this week of the VGA.
Yeah, Cloud9 will fall here. And that is the first time, I believe, that her team has taken down Cloud9 on week 1 of the autumn season. This is a huge moment for the rest of North America as they fight for that top